Once they were constructed, Flagler started getting noise complaints from the guests staying at his hotels. Turns out all that noise was coming from the city jail located at Flagler. He would bill for people, he'd give his money away, but whenever he did something like that, he would impose what we call a condition or stipulation for doing so. He met with the powers that be of the city. He proposed that he was going to build him a brand new jail, no cost to them whatsoever. His only condition or stipulation was it needed to be located outside of the city limits, and what he built for them is
It's an emo trolley.
That's the
emo trolley. It's the trolley for emos.
Alcatraz prison out in San Francisco Bay designed it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely for
His
emos.
family resided on the right-hand side. There were 72 cells on the left.
Two
of the
degrees
prison. It's the
Back there, we're
only-
both
actually,
recording.
It was a hanging jail, guys. There's a hanging gallows or platform out in front of it. There were 8 documented hangings there.
I've
During
been
the time the old
recording.
jail
I
was
did
in
find I have
operation.
interrupted.
Only original
Same.
building on site. Everything else
Whoa.
there is a reconstruction.
Oh.
Now, we tell a couple of rhymes on the train. And the first one, it goes like this. I know you've heard it. 1492.
Lemonade,
Columbus sailed the ocean
freshly
blue.
squeezed.
The second one, 1493.
in a
Columbus
cup.
sailed the deep blue sea. What goes
Blah.
on? Talk about
Ah.
his voyages to the New World. His first one took place in 1492. That second one, a year later in 1493. And who he had on the ship with him on that second voyage was none other than Ponce de Leon. He and Ponce de Leon, they landed on and discovered the Isle of Hispaniola. That's present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Columbus, he went back to Europe. He left Ponce de Leon behind. And Ponce de Leon, he went on to discover the island located right next door. It's called Puerto Rico. And he became Puerto Rico's first governor.
Hi, other people on a trolley.
And the sea, if you will, he was not happy being stuck on land. He actually had an ulterior motive.
It's the old
He had
people
heard
trolley. This is
from
the young people trolley.
natives about an island called Bimini, and Bimini was supposed to contain 2 things. Number one, a mythical fountain of youth, and number
Lemonade,
two, hordes of food. That's
freshly
really what he was looking for.
oh, hit in a cup.
When he set sail from Puerto Rico, it was in the spring of 1530. Specifically, it was March of that year.
He's
And it
talking
was
so
the
fast,
Easter
I don't know what he's
season, which again,
saying.
on the Catholic calendar. It was known as Pascua Freedom, or the Feast of Flowers. Sailing north from Puerto Rico, he never ever located all that gold in that
Oh.
But when he landed, just south of present-day Cape Canaveral, right down in the Belvidere Sebastian area, it was springtime. Florida was in bloom with all these various flowers. He claimed that land for Spain, and as a result, he gave the name of his new land La Florida, and that's how we got the
What?
name Florida. When the Spanish left the Timucan Indian village of Savoy, they briefly went on.
Why are
to
we
the
just waving
southernmost
at random
barrier
people?
island,
I don't
Anastasia
know.
Island, before they finally settled permanently here on the mainland. To know that Presidio or fort, as you guys well know, it's called the Castillo de San Marcos, or literally the Castle of St. Mark's. Constructed out of that coquina material, but prior to the coquina version of the fort, there were 9 different versions of that fort. It was completed
It's
in
so
1695,
windy.
and 23 years.
My head hurts.
Protector here in St. Augustine for hundreds and
Everything
hundreds of
like
years.
ride
It's
we've
one
been
of the
on,
reasons why we
it's so
have
dusty.
never ever
and I
fallen or
think
been
it's
captured
so loud.
by a foreign military power. But we
I'll
were
say the
ruled over
weirdest
by the British here
Renaissance.
for 21 years, guys. Not
That's
because
what we
of
used to
any
do
type
our
of
reading
warfare or
counts.
anything like that. It had everything to do with a treaty.
Yeah?
It was called the First Treaty of
I'll say
Paris. And
my
what it did,
family's
if you're
name
breaking
was
down
my
the simple
sister.
terms, Great Britain and
Sometimes
Spain,
she's
what they
like,
did is they created cities.
like that.
Great Britain got St. Augustine,
What?
and the Spanish got Havana, Cuba. And when our American Revolution ended,
He's the only
the treaty that
person.
ended that war was known as the Second Treaty of Paris. And that's when Great Britain had returned St. Augustine back to the Spanish. Now, guys, when we started out, we were
I'm
not
proud
very big,
to
we were very
be
small.
an American.
In size, not blocks that were square, they were blocks
Ah.
in size. And we were a walled
American, but
city.
could
I don't know if
be
you guys noticed when you visited the fort, but just north of the fort, the National Park Service has reconstructed that wall around the city. At least the lower
Parade?
portion of
There's a
it.
parade.
What it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be bonbons. Those bonbons
There's
can
a
be
parade
like
coming on
people.
Saturday
On
and
this side of the train,
Sunday.
please keep your leg inside the train, okay? No legs hanging out, guys. We got cars coming right past us. You're gonna put your leg on the car. That wall's right over here. Like I said, it's supposed to be bonbons. First of all, on top of that, about 14 feet.
It's the fort. Look at the
From
fort.
over to the set of city gates over here. They too were once wooden. There used to be a drawbridge that would go up and down, allowing people entrance into the city and exit out of it. The Coquina version of those gates were installed in 1808. And we go one block to the west, where our present-day Cordova Street's located. We'll be going down that a little bit later in the tour. On our way back to the Visitor Information Center, that was the westernmost boundary of the original St. Augustine. But back when we were founded, there was no Cordova Street back then.
I forgot to do my intro. What's up, guys? It's just me,
will
Ruby,
get hurt.
here.
There's no joke, okay?
This is part three. We're currently on a trolley, as you already saw by our 5-minute long introduction. I'm with my friend here, Nashali. Say
Now
hi.
that Cordova,
Yay.
excuse me, the Maria Sanchez Creek would extend
So I'm just
all
gonna
the way
hush
down to a
and
tiny little lake.
Show you guys everything, cause it's blurry. And show you guys everything, cause I have nothing else to say.
San Salvador Street to the big front. That was that original footprint.
I have
of
nothing
St.
else to
Augustine.
say.
Not very big back then. We're not very big today. We're a very small Florida city. Only
Ah,
about
it's so blurry.
13,000 in total population. Most of the days around here, the number of tourists in town
You know that little
greatly
thing on the back
outnumber
you record
the permanent residents who reside here.
Clean
In
what?
just a bit, guys, we're going to be going down
thing.
into the historical part of St. Augustine.
It's time to flashbang the viewers. Get ready
Now,
to be
whenever the
flashbanged.
Spanish, whenever they would design something here
Nashali.
Oh my god,
in
there's a
St. Augustine and elsewhere where they settled, they always had a reason for doing what they did. And when we turn onto Hippolyta Street, one of the things that I
People.
want you to notice is that very
People,
narrow street.
so exciting.
In the Spanish, they actually did this by design. Whenever they
There's a
would
real
settle into a warmer climate, they would purposely make these streets narrow.
Horsey.
Because what it would do, it would cause the breezes
That's
to
a
be
horsey.
traveled down through them, and it would act as an early
We go down a spooky alleyway. So
They
spoopy.
always had a reason for doing what they did. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but we still happen to have the most narrow street in the entire United States.
Yeah.
Located
There was a
here
big
in
black
St.
doggy.
Augustine. It's called Treasury Street.
So cute.
And what they say is, they say it's 7
So
feet
fluffy.
wide. What I have read is
Ooh.
no wider than 6 feet 2 inches long in each direction.
Ooh, nice.
And the reason it's called Treasury
Boba.
is right up here when we cross over St. George. It's about 2 blocks to the south.
Yeah.
The Spanish
Do you call it
Treasury
hair or do you call it
is
fur?
located. That Treasury
Fur.
Street would extend from there all the way down to the main
Huh.
front. Whenever the Spanish would receive shipments of valuable goods that needed
Wait,
storage
they call what
in that treasury
they call dog fur
building, what they
fur,
would do
but
is
whenever
they transport
dogs
them
like
from treasury
shed
to
on the couch, they call it dog hair.
It
That
would
doesn't make
actually prevent
sense.
robberies from occurring. So yeah, the
Is it
Spanish,
dog
they
hair or
really,
fur?
once again, had a reason for doing what they did.
Oh,
Now let's start talking about Flagler's Hotel. His third hotel was known as the Alcazar Hotel. And when he built that Alcazar Hotel, he had a little bit of a problem sitting directly on the land.
ah,
This so happened to be a Methodist church. Flagler met with the congregation. He
That's my
proposed that they
birthday.
build a brand new church. No cost to them whatsoever. He was going to locate it 2 blocks directly north of where their current church was located. And then he extended another offer to them. He said, if you'd like to have a bell tower with your church, I'd be more than happy to build you one of those as well. But here's my condition or stipulation. If you want to have having a bell inside of that bell tower, very, very much a kind of a strange and odd type of demand. Well, they did accept his offer to build a brand new church. Called Grace United Methodist Church.
I love art.
Completed in
Look at those
1887.
flowers.
We're going to see it here in just a bit. And
They're
even
so pretty.
to this very day, it does not have a bell in its bell tower.
Ning a ning a ning a
When we
ning a
go
ning a
by,
ning.
folks, it's going to be over here on the right-hand side. Take a look at the archways, the window above that, and that bell tower up on top that does not contain a bell. All of that red material, that's a type of Italian clay, and it's called red
Wee,
terracotta.
ah.
Now the Baptist got jealous because the Methodist got a brand new church. They approached Flagler asking the same of him. He politely declined. He said, I built
I got
hotels
dirt
and
in my
railways. I
eye.
don't build churches, but here's what I'm going to do.
Okay, I got the dirt out of my eye.
Church, as a matter of fact, you can have a bell
Yay.
tower in your church, but the same condition of stipulation applies to you. No bell in that bell tower. Well, they took Flagler's money and what they built for themselves. Directly across the street here, this yellow brick church, that's Ancient City Baptist Church, and it was completed in 1895. Now, Flagler's dad, he was a Presbyterian minister. Mr. Flagler,
I'll tell you one of
he was
those.
also of the Presbyterian faith. It was only a matter of time before Flagler was going to build a Presbyterian church here in
That's like
St.
the second
Augustine.
time I saw it fitting.
Fed up.
And that whole thing about prohibiting bells and the other churches' bell towers were really, that was just a selfish and petty reason on the part of Mr. Flagler. He did not want the other church bells competing with the bells of his Presbyterian church. He wanted them to be the only church bells in town.
Really?
Oh
yeah.
What he built is over here on the right-hand side, everybody. Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church. It was built to resemble another church, St. Mark's Basilica, located in
Penske, get out of the way.
There's also terracotta here, but it's not red. Rather, it's the white or cream-colored version of terracotta. It's much more expensive than its red counterpart, and it's also intricately hand-carved, by the way. And if you look up to the top of the church, there's a 30-foot in diameter copper dome crowning the whole top of that church up there.
Oh my gosh.
No, it isn't Memorial
One
Church.
time I saw the word Sigma on a sewer drain. I'm not joking. One time I saw the word Sigma on a sewer drain.
He was married a couple different times in his life. His first
Rainbow
wife
and Bella.
was the love of his life. Her name was
I'm gonna flashbang the
Mary
viewers.
Harkness. He was married to her for many, many years. They had 3 children together in 1877. The Flaglers, they moved to New York City.
Was she
Mary
one being
just so happened to
chilling?
be sick, and the doctor said to her and to Mr. Flagler, why don't you come down here to Florida, perhaps the fresh air and sunshine?
I hate
Go
the
improve your
smell of
health
gas.
condition. They did exactly that. They got on the train up to there in New York City. They came all the way down to Jacksonville. That's as far as you get on the train back then. They spent the winter down here. Then they went back home to New York City. Unfortunately, a couple years later, she did pass away from her illness. So Flagler, he was saddened by that, but he did get remarried. He came to Florida
What?
a second time, this time to St. Augustine, and he was on his honeymoon. It was 1883, 1884. Hey, girls.
It's the thing after
You
your
girls,
wedding.
right here. Can we stop with the phone, please? Everybody around you can't hear what I'm saying. That's not fair to them. All right. At that time, his eldest daughter, her name was Jenny Louise. She was all grown up. By far his favorite child. Now, if we fast forward 5 years to 1889, Jenny Louise is married. She's 9 months pregnant. She's living with her husband up in New York City. She had a very, very difficult pregnancy in which she gave birth to her little infant baby girl. Tragically, that little girl did not survive. Like her mom, they said, let's get her down here to Florida. Perhaps she'd get better down here. And her husband, he owned a steamship. It was called the Oneida. And they were sailing down the east coast of the United States and right off the coast of South Carolina, right in the vicinity of Charleston. The unthinkable happened. She too passed away. For all of Flagler's money, he had the worst luck with the people that were near and dear to him, the people he loved the most. He was so upset he went to his architects, and what he did is he demanded that they build a memorial church in their honor. His only condition or stipulation was it needed to be completed in less than 1 year. Now look at this place. It's 1889. You think you could build something like that back then in less than a year? Probably not, right? Darn near impossible. But here's what you got to remember. There was a brand new technology back then. It was called electricity. Flagler had really important friends. He just so happened to be friends with none other than Thomas Edison. Mr. Edison, he put lights up here and allowed them at times to work through the darkness. Believe it or not, absent those stained glass windows up there, construction of this church was completed in 361 days. Yeah, just under a year. Absolutely amazing. It is a practicing Presbyterian church to this very day. It's stunningly beautiful on the inside, and it's open for self-guided tours on Sunday after Mass and Friday afternoons if you guys make it back to town. In 1970, they installed this massive 5,000-pipe Alien Skinner organ.
Whoa, what?
They do hold concerts in there. Right now, they're holding Lenten concerts down there on Wednesdays at 12:45 in the afternoon. And buried in the crypt is Henry Flagler himself, his first wife, the love of his life, Mary Harkness, his eldest and favorite daughter, that buried in her arms. In that crypt is that little infant baby girl. Her name is Marjorie. Now, guys, if you want to take a picture, get a better look at the church, look outside the left-hand side of the train, look up, look backwards. You can capture the whole church in profile when I do that. Now on the right-hand side over here, this was Flagler's very first hotel, called the Ponce de Leon Hotel. It opened in January of 1888.
That's
It's now
cool.
Flagler College. And when Flagler College started out, it was an all-girls school. It's now a co-ed liberal arts institution.
There's
If you look over to
hammocks.
the main building, there's a couple towers over there. They are not bell towers. They're actually water towers. They were designed to capture rainwater to be housed in cisterns for the hotel. This building here on the right, this once housed power generators for Mr. Edison to produce direct current electricity for the hotel. As a result of that, they could heat the water. So way back in 1888, this hotel had full running water. It was also unique in another respect. It was designed, one of the first ones in the world, from the ground up. They have all the electrical components built into it. That they had opened and had all the light switches and outlets to go along with it. It was a seasonal hotel.
Tim.
It was only open 3 months out of the year, January, February,
It's
and
that
March.
one guy.
And you needed a personal invitation
Landon.
from Mr. Flagler to stay there.
Cool.
Now, electricity was such a
Landon.
brand new technology. The guests staying at the hotel, a lot of them refused to turn the light switches on and off for fear of being electrocuted. Well, Flagler didn't solve that problem. He hired teenage boys, paid them 75 cents a day or thereabouts, and their sole job
Hi,
responsibility
people.
was to turn the light switches on and off for the guests. Now, the structure over here on the right that sticks out from the college, that was the grand hall of that Ponce de Leon Hotel. It's now the dining facility for Flagler College. Notice all those windows have plexiglass on them. That's because that plexiglass is protecting the windows underneath, which are Tiffany stained glass.
I love
windows.
St. Augustine.
Personally designed by Mr. Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. He's the founder and owner of the Tiffany Stained Glass Company, located up in New York City. It's the largest installed collection of Tiffany stained glass windows in the entire world, and it's reported to be worth in excess of $40 to $50 billion. Now, I know you kids won't get it, but hopefully the adults will. What do you think the kids at Flagler College get to do each and every morning?
Eat food.
Hey, I see Starbucks right there.
Starbucks.
They have Starbucks.
You want to go to
Now, just
Starbucks?
a bit, we're going to be
Let's
going
go to
up
Starbucks.
Flagler College, and I promise you,
Whoa.
if you stripped
Hi,
out today's
people.
Flagler College, you see this Ponce de Leon Hotel, it would look exactly like it did the day it
Ah.
opened back in January of 1888. The gentleman standing out in front of the college on that marble pedestal, that's the second most important guy in all St. Augustine. That's Henry Flagler himself right there.
Whoa.
Now this building here we're going to see next does not seem like it's important, but from an architectural construction standpoint, it's incredibly significant. It's known as the Diaz Arena. It was constructed in 1883, and a wealthy gentleman from Boston, Massachusetts, had it built. His name was Mr. Franklin Smith. He and his family, they visited Granada, Spain, where they fell in love with the Alhambra Palace. He wanted to be a snowbird down here in Florida. What he built for his family to escape those cold and brutal Boston winters was a 1/10 scale model of the west wing of that Alhambra Palace. Now here's what I want you to do. Look from the parking lot, follow your eyes up the building to the roof line, look left to right, right to left. You'll see lines, horizontal lines that run across that building. The best way of describing it kind of looks like a layer cake, if you will. And here's why it's important. The ancient Romans, they built many, many things across their Roman Empire using concrete to build with. Many structures that still stand to this day. Things like the Pantheon in Rome and some of the Roman aqueducts. But after the fall of the Roman Empire, nobody in the world ever again used concrete to build with. It wasn't until this building was constructed in 1883 that they revived using concrete as a construction material. In our case, it was poured concrete.
I want to go on a horse.
Let it dry and cure. For the next
I want to
layer,
go on
let
a
it
black
dry and
horsey.
cure, so on and so forth. And that's where all of those individual lines come from that I just pointed out to you.
Oh my God, that
We just so happen to have termites here in Florida. They eat wood, but they do not eat concrete. It would much easily
look at that.
withstand the winds, not much better than a wooden structure when it came to the winds of a tropical storm, or better yet, a hurricane. Now, right over here on the right-hand side, just beyond the Chase Bank buildings, that third hotel that we talked about earlier, it's called the Alcazar, Flagler's third hotel. Now, this was a hotel for the common man. You did not need a personal invitation from Mr. Flagler to stay here. You can stay here nightly. Depending on what type of room you booked, it would cost you anywhere from 50 cents to $2 a night.
50 cents.
Entertainment. It had things in there like Turkish baths. It had a cinema. It had a 2-lane bowling alley.
Only
it also
50
had something
cents.
else that's incredibly
Dang.
unique for its time. And it's still there to this very day. The whole backside
Every single day I would go
of that
there.
Alcazar,
I had a job.
it spans the width of an entire city block. It had an indoor saltwater swimming pool. It was totally unheard of to swim indoors back during the time of Mr.
You
Flagler.
know what's good about Starbucks?
The pool is still there. It's empty these days. It does not
I love
contain any
Starbucks.
water.
Starbucks
These days
cake
it
pops.
contains a cafe. It's known as the Cafe Alcazar.
Casa Manica.
The middle portion of the hotel contains the museum. It's known as the Leichner Museum. What Mr. Otto Leichner did, he collected other people's collections. That's what you'll find if you visit there. And the front portion of the hotel here on the upper floors. This is our city hall here in St. Augustine. The mayor has her office there. City council's located there. The building department and other things like that help the city to function. And this gentleman right here on our left, standing on that coquina pedestal, that's the most important guy in all of St. Augustine. That's our
I want to
founder.
jump in
That's
there.
Don Pedro Menendez de Aviles himself.
There's coins in there.
He came from a noble family. And at the Aviles portion of his name means that he came from Aviles, Spain. That was his home.
You want to get a haircut?
Now, he did all the things that King Philip II of Spain asked him to do. He protected that Spanish treasure fleet or armada. As a result, he had a really lofty military rank. He was captain general of that armada. So on land, he was a general. At sea, he was an admiral. He converted many of these guys. He expelled the pesky French from Fort Carolina. We'll talk about that
You guys probably
a
can't
little
read
bit
that.
later on in our tour. Now, over on this side, over here of the hotel, this is where Flagler has his outdoor activities.
Tickets,
things
maps,
like lawn
gifts,
croquet,
and
magic,
ghosts.
and tennis.
I don't want a ghost.
I want one.
Ghost
I always
tours?
ask all my tours if you guys can guess something for me at this part of the tour. We know in the late 1800s, a German gentleman, his name was Karl Benz. He invented the automobile. That was a form of transportation, and it had four wheels. Back during the time of Mr. Flagler, when he arrived here in town about 20 to 30 years before his arrival, another brand new form of transportation had recently been. Another brand new form of transportation had recently been invented and only had two wheels. I bet you guys own one of these things. What do you think I'm talking about?
Bicycle.
Yeah, it was a bicycle. Now, here's the thing, guys. In order to legally ride that
What about a
bicycle,
tricycle?
in St. Augustine, back during the time of Mr. Flagler, you needed a bicycle operator's permit. So what Mr. Flagler did, if you stayed at that Alcazar up here on the corner on the right-hand side, he hosted a bicycle training academy where you could learn how to ride that bicycle. And you want to know what we got? A school looks like that's getting ready to get picked up here. Yeah, we're going to have to take a little bit of detour. We got a K through 8 school over there, guys, and they pick up this time of day. We're going to do a little bit of a detour here. Yeah, what Flagler did is he hosted a bicycle training academy there where you learn how to ride that bicycle. And upon graduation, they would issue your bicycle operator's permit so that you too could legally ride that bicycle in the city of St. Augustine. Yeah, I chuckle each and every time I tell that story, but you want to know what? I know you guys have seen pictures of those bicycles. They had an enormous front wheel, a tiny little wheel in the back. They stood 6 to 7 feet tall. I had no idea how people would get on those things.
I see
You really
them.
probably needed some sort of specialized training to ride one of those bicycles so that you didn't get hurt or kill somebody else.
What?
All right, we are going off of our route, everybody. I'm going to be quiet for just a little bit until we get over to the main street. We don't want to get any neighbors upset talking on our speakers.
Finally, quiet. It's him. Ah, why is it so shaky? Ah.
So let's start talking about Flagler's second hotel. Normally we go down there, we make a left and another left, and we come up the long side of it, it would be on our right, but we're going to see it just from a different perspective. His second hotel, he didn't build it, however. His good friend, that friend who built the Via Zareta, Mr. Franklin Smith, he actually built it. It was called the Casa Monica. Once it was constructed, he ran into financial difficulties, and he sold it to his good friend Henry Flagler. That Casa Monica is directly in front of the train, guys. That white structure there with that orangish type of roof. Flagler renamed it the Cordova, and once that Alcazar was constructed, Mr. Flagler, he built walkways between the two of them, or flyovers, connecting those two buildings. It then became known as the Alcazar Annex. The hotel up until the time of our Great Depression.
We went in a
For a
circle.
while, it was nothing. From 1965 to 1995, for that 30-year period of time, that was our judicial center here in the county, and all of our courtrooms were located there. And it reopened on January 1st of the year 2000, and it reverted to its original name.
You want to go get
That
some
is, guys, the finest hotel that we have here in the city, bar none. Now, just a bit. We're going to be right downtown into the center of
Let's
the
go get some
St. Augustine. It's laid out in a very, very specific way. That's because the King of Spain, he passed a law back in 1573. It was called the Law of the Indies. It was really simple. What it said is all Spanish settlers in the world, they need to have three things. A central plaza located in the center of town for people to congregate around and co-located on that plaza. Two other things. A governor's house to administer the government of Spain, and a Catholic church for people to worship at. Our plaza is right up here on the left where the live boats are. That's Plaza de la Constitucion. Our governor's house is right here immediately on the left. That once served as the capital of Florida. And we go through the traffic light up here. I want you guys to look over on the left-hand side. The second story of that governor's house, there's a brown balcony that overlooks the plaza. Back in 2015, when we turned 450 years of age, the King and Queen of Spain, they actually came to St. Augustine. They stood on that very balcony, and they addressed the citizens who were assembled out here in the plaza, eagerly awaiting to hear them speak. And we were really happy to have Spanish royalty in town that day to help us celebrate that really important milestone. Now, as we round the top of the plaza up here, we're going to see two things.
Please don't see the Cybertruck.
Over here on the left-hand side, on this granite pedestal statue there, that just so happens to be Ponce de Leon, everybody.
I really hope they don't see
It was
it.
a gift from a
Oh,
very,
thank
very generous
goodness.
man we had here in the 1920s. Dr.
Cybertrucks
Andrew
are trash.
Anderson. He gifted that to
Dumpster
us.
on wheels.
That's a
Oh wait, that
copy of the
already
original. That
exists.
statue stands down in Puerto Rico, the capital city of San Juan. And if you look over here, that's
Yeah,
our
and I'm really glad no one saw it, because I don't want them going like, oh my gosh, look at the Cybertruck, getting excited over nothing.
They are made out of Italian Carrara marble. They are hand carved, and they actually have names. Their names are Firm and Faithful, and they are totally beloved by the citizens of St. Augustine. Everybody loves our lions. Now, right here, as we get on the other side of the plaza,
Minecraft
Minecraft
cars are even better than a
It's called
Cybertruck.
the Exchange Bank Building. It was constructed in 1928. When it was built, it was incredibly unpopular. People would make fun of it. They would call it St. Augustine.
Le macaron. I love macarons.
Macaron. And just beyond it, where the flags are flying, that's our Catholic Church. Dates all the way back to the 1600s. Unfortunately, in 1887, it suffered a devastating fire. The whole interior of that church needed to be redesigned and rebuilt. The gentleman they hired to do that work, who also built this Bell and Clock Tower right next door, he's a very famous American architect. His name is Mr. James Renwick, and the reason I mentioned his name, he's responsible for building a couple other things in our country that you may be aware of. He's actually the architect and builder of St. Patrick's Cathedral, located on 5th Avenue up in New York City. And also down on our National Mall in Washington, D.C., where those Smithsonian museums are located, there's a tall brick structure down there. It's called the Smithsonian Castle. He's actually the architect and builder of that as well. All right, let's start talking about Menendez expelling those pesky French from Fort Caroline. When he arrived here in St. Augustine, he sailed up there immediately to do that. And when he arrived up there, he found that that fort was pretty much deserted. That's because the main French fighting force, they had left. They were out pursuing Menendez, trying to engage him in battle. Unfortunately, they got caught south of St. Augustine in a hurricane. Because that fort was left to be defended by only old men, women, and children, Menendez was easily able to capture it. Then he in turn he pursued the French. And where he
At
caught up with them was
2:50,
just south of our city,
At
where a
like
little
3,
inlet
that's when my dad
meets
takes
the
me because I
Atlantic
go to
Ocean.
parent pickup. So it takes him like
He did
20
battle with those
30
French, and he easily defeated them. He killed a bunch, and he captured a bunch more. And then he extended an offer to the captured French that if they would convert to the Catholic faith, he would in fact spare their lives. Unfortunately, those Frenchmen, they did not speak Spanish. They only spoke French. Most likely, they did not know what was being asked of them because then Menendez, what he did is something horrific. What he did is he slaughtered them. The Spanish word for slaughter just so
It's not
happens to
horrific.
be
That's horrific.
Matanzas. And that's how the bay that we have here in St. Augustine, the river that flows from it, and that little inlet out to the Atlantic, all got their name Matanzas. Now, right up here on the left-hand side, guys, this old Powder House Inn. The reason that it's called that on that very plot of land, back in 1598, that's where the Spanish built their very first coquina structure here in St. Augustine. It was a powder house. They would keep their gunpowder in there for their muskets and cannon. And they kept it right outside the city wall, right on the other side of this Maria Sanchez Creek that would run through here. Because if it ever had an accident, caught fire, and caused an explosion, that way nobody would ever get hurt. If unfortunately that was to take place. Now, right up here on the left-hand side, we're going to stop for just a bit. I'm going to show you something really interesting here in St. Augustine. There are 7 of them that we are aware of here in town. They occur naturally. What I'm talking about is this live oak tree right over here. Take a look. There's a palm tree growing directly out of the trunk of that live oak tree. Nobody planted a seed to make that happen. Like I said, they occur naturally. There's 7 of them here in the city. They're called love trees. And there's a legend behind the love tree that if you kiss somebody underneath the love tree, you will be with them for all of eternity.
I'm
All right,
thirsty.
we get back to the visitor information. The 3 that
Time to stay hydrated.
One of them
Drink
was
up.
a very nice hotel. It was called the San Marco Hotel. Chances are Flagler probably stayed at that San Marco Hotel on his honeymoon down here in 1883, 1884 with his second wife. Now this structure over here on the right-hand side, that's our city parking garage. But because we are a historical city here in Florida, whenever we build something modern and new, we try to make it look interesting and old. What this parking garage was built to resemble
I want to go on the
is
playground.
that San Marco Hotel.
Park is closed.
Like I said at the beginning of the tour,
from
guys, I'm going to try to drop you guys off at the Old Town Trolley stop up here as we get closer. I'll take a peek to see if they're in the spot. If they're not, we're going to utilize their Old Town Trolley. Yeah, they're not there, everybody. We're going to use it. That's where I'm going to drop you off. So wait for me to pull up to that stop. Ring the bell, and when I do, you guys can hop off. I'm going to ring the bell after I come to a complete stop, and everybody's going to get off of the train on the left-hand side. You are my last group today, folks. I'm going home after this, so look around real good. Gather up all your belongings. Please don't leave anything behind. If you have any trash, please take it with you.
Chihuahua.
There are recycled trash bins there.
Kind of looks like my cat Lightstream.
Is everybody
Miss my
smarter about
cat.
St. Augustine after the tour today? Alright.
Yeah.
What else are you guys doing today? You all done for the day, or are you going shopping?
I don't know.
For the day. You guys all headed home on the big buses after this?
Nobody heard that.
Shut it.
Alright guys,
Bye,
thank you for
guys.
silently waving for me, listening to my
Bye
tour.
guys.
rather be
See
like-
ya.
You're welcome.